Hello. This is Anna, and I'm making videos about Serbian, Croatian, Bosnian, and Montenegrin language. First thing I wanted to start with is what is this language? Mostly, this is the question I'm receiving when I'm telling somebody what I'm doing, what is my job. And mostly, the confusion is this one language or is there 4 languages? What is the deal with these guys? How we should treat this language? Do we need 4 teachers for the 4 languages, or we can use one of them? Or people are saying, wow, Serbian, Montenegrin, Croatian, Bosnian, 4 languages, you're so smart, you're such a smart lady. Of course, of course I am. But honestly, yeah, when I was studying in university, still it was called Serbo-Croatian in my university. To explain this matter, to explain this unclear situation, which guys are what and what kind of language is this and how to learn it, I would suggest we would see how it all started. The thing is, in ex-Yugoslavia, there was one language which was mandatory for everybody. It was called Serbo-Croatian. The problem is not everybody was super happy with it, so after the fall of ex-Yugoslavia into 6 different pieces, first one was Croatia, who said, hello guys, that's a divorce, we are not together anymore, we don't want your language, we are going to call it Croatian. That was the first step. Then there were other situations, other falling apart. There was Bosnian language after the war in Bosnia. There was Montenegrin language, which is still kind of unclear even for Montenegrins, does it exist or not. And yeah, there was some kind of talk about different Serbian dialects, but I hope it stopped there. So the separation of the languages is mostly connected, was mostly connected with the situation, with the political situation back in 90s, when countries of one big country, Yugoslavia, was falling apart into 6 different pieces. And the thing is, this situation was a matter of a lot of jokes. Like, for example, there is a famous TV show which is called Top Lista nad Realista, which was making fun of this situation exactly, when people were saying the same sentences to each other but not understanding because the girl was speaking Montenegrin and the guy speaking Bosnian, for example. The thing is, right now we have the situation when we officially, sometimes semi-officially in Montenegrin case, when we officially have 4 different languages at least, and we have to deal with it, and we have to take this into consideration, and we have to respect all the situation, all the political circumstances, and don't ask any more questions, I guess, because the matter of the languages and political matter of the separation is still kind of fresh. It's still kind of painful for most of people from here, from the ex-Yugoslavia, and I prefer not to discuss it. Just be prepared. If you're calling this language anyhow, there are going to be problems. You're calling it Serbian, there are going to be some people who would say, how dare you? There was never Serbian, it was Serbo-Croatian. Or it's not Serbian, it's Montenegrin, you're a Montenegro man or woman. The thing is, the situation is unclear, the feelings are not settled down, there is no common ground on this. So we still have kind of have a language which is used as a political tool. So I'm going to call it Montenegrin, Serbian, Croatian, and Bosnian, out of respect to all these great people, all these great languages, all the dialects, and because I have no right to have an opinion who is right or wrong. I didn't participate in this war, so there is nobody asks me my opinion on this, and I absolutely understand the need to have the identity, to identify yourself with the language. So I absolutely respect the need to call your language the way you want to call it. If you want to call it Klingon, I don't care. It's your language, it's your thing. I will respect it. So, what the situation we're dealing is 4 different languages. What is the difference between these guys? I would say, but don't tell anybody, please. I would say that the difference between 4 these languages is like between American English, British English, New Zealand English, and some kind of Australian English. Not so much. People can still understand each other without a special professional person who will be translating. People are writing the same mostly. People are using the same grammar, and the melodical system of these 4 languages is the same also. So the situation is, there are of course differences that you can notice in these 4 languages, but as I said, not so much that we can have a situation of not understanding each other. For instance, Yugoslavia had also 2 other languages, Slovenian and Macedonian, which are completely different. You cannot really understand them without a translator. You cannot apply the same grammar rules to these languages as to Serbo-Croatian. So I would say more or less, if you are learning Serbian, Croatian, Bosnian, and Montenegrin, you can use the same materials. To be honest, to go even further in the history, let's see what was happening in 19th century. The thing is, the people who were creating literary language, Croatian and Serbian, Vuk Karadžić and Ljudevit Gaj, there are 2 guys, they are very important to the language. They faced the situation when Serbs and Croats didn't have any literary language, because they were, for a lot of time, these nations were parts of big empires. Some of them Ottoman Empire, some of them Austrian, Austro-Hungarian, how we call it. Maybe I said it wrong, please forgive me, Austro-Hungarians. So you have Austrian Empire, you have Ottoman Empire, you have Venetian Republic, and you have like some kind of a weird mix of all these influences in there, and you have some nations, some kind of some people who are speaking a language which now we call Serbian, Croatian, Bosnian, Montenegrin, and no literary language. Very few books are printed, or no books are printed, and very few people can really read and write in these languages. It's more like some kind of local language that people speak. So these 2 people, these 2 linguists, Ljudevit Gaj and Vuk Karadžić, check them out. They're amazing. I think that they're very interesting. Their work is very profound, very important. So these 2 guys, they were more interested in the idea of the pan-Slavic integrity than the idea of the separation of Croatian and Serbian. So they were not super clear about that. They had different thoughts and minds, and they had different goals, and the political circumstances was different. Both of them were citizens of big empires. Both of them were very interested in creating a national language. Both of them wanted to reach a goal of making a language more suitable for writing and reading, so that ordinary people would be able to write and read without a problem, because that was a very big problem. Not so many people knew how to use this language in writing and reading, because there was not so many books, because the big empires didn't care so much of these local languages. So they had a big goal, which they achieved. Obviously, they created the main rule: you write how you read, you read how you write. Mostly, they solved the situation with the literary language. They created a new language. They created new grammar system. They applied some rules from German language, from Latin language to these national languages. But this is the topic of another story. Mostly, these guys in 19th century, they they didn't give a flying thing about all this difference between Croatia and Serbia. They had other problems, like three huge empires taking apart this land, ripping apart this land. So coming back to the four languages, Bosnian, Serbian, Croatian, and Montenegrin, we can say, starting from Bosnian, that Bosnian is the language with the more, which had the most, which was exposed the most to the Turkish impact, to the impact of Turkish language. Bosnian language is the language which has the big amount of which we called Turcism, the word that was taken from Turkish language. So Bosnian we can distinguish quite easily. If you hear a lot of weird Turkish words in the language more than usual, then you can say it's Bosnian. Croatian language also has a very characteristic thing. They're following the politics of purism. They want the language to be pure from all the foreign words, so they want to keep the language clean. That's why it's purism. So if you hear a language which has very few or none of the foreign words in language at all, you can say that is Croatian. Also, Croatian language uses Latin alphabet only. Other guys are using Cyrillic and Latin also. If you hear a language, if you see a language which writes mostly in Cyrillic and has all the kinds of like foreign words, especially from German language, you can say kind of easily, and not so many of Turkish words, you can say this is Serbian. That's how we're going to recognize that guy. And if we see a very small tiny language that is not sure about its identity, still this kind of non-binary that is clinging between Croatian and Serbian and all the time is making some kind of new rules in the language, this is Montenegrin. This is very tiny, small guy who is still non-binary, who is still not so sure with his identity. And we have to have great respect for him also. He is tiny but very proud. So we can say that we have our main personalities, our main heroes in the story, and Bosnian is wearing a Turkish hat. We can say this. Croatian is caring so much about being pure and Slavic. Serbian is using only Cyrillic. Other guys are using Cyrillic and Latinic. And Montenegrin is clinging. Am I going to go with Croatia? Am I going to go with Serbia? I'm not so sure. So this is the situation with languages, with how we can like briefly distinguish one from another before we started to learn it. Of course, when you go deeper into languages, you will see that there is no four languages. There is a whole huge scale of languages. The thing is, languages, as sexuality also, it's not kind of a yes or no thing. It's more of a spectrum. You know, you have like Croatian language, which actually is not like just one language. There are so many dialects. They might be so different. Serbian language is the same. Such different dialects, such different situations. Montenegrin language is very different if you take it from north, such a tiny country. If you take it from north and if you take it from the western part, which is on the border with Croatia. So we have a huge spectrum. We have such an interesting situation. We have basically like a Game of Thrones of languages. Like some of the guys are hating each other. Some of the guys are wanting separation, like they want a divorce. Some of the guys want to go with mother. Some of them are going with father. Some of them are going with father, then coming back, then changing the whole thing. To make the long story short, we have kind of unusual, interesting, and exotic situation here. And instead of having an opinion, a political opinion, which we shouldn't, I think that we should just enjoy all the variety and all the unusual spectrum of all this situation, and just watch it with like you would watch a TV show. I hope to encourage you guys to study this amazing, interesting, exotic language, which has an extreme beauty in it, which is like you will not find any language like this. any language that is so adventurous and so not easy. I mean, not easy in the terms of the terms of the definitions, but very easy in the terms of grammar, very structural, very logical, very beautiful, very melodical. Like you don't speak it, you sing it. It's an amazing language, and I hope you're going to enjoy learning it. And I hope, because this language is, as we've seen, so much connected with politics, I think that you would enjoy it more if you separate it from politics and just observe what is happening instead of like forming some kind of a sharp opinion or judging. We don't like judging. So the thing is, I'm going to make more videos in English. This is my goal now. Because before that I was mostly having videos in Russian in my channel. Now it's going to change, so I will have videos in English, and I would like your kind of advices, if you would rate me what kind of topics is hard for you or interesting for you, so I can tell about that. I'm also teaching, and the thing is, you can write me, you can have my contacts below this video. You can write me if you want to have lessons, commercial time, advertisement time. And the new thing I'm doing, I'm helping folks to adjust the system of the self-education. So for example, if you're planning on learning this language by yourself, or if you don't have like time or money for the teacher, we are sitting for an hour and a half, and we are analyzing your schedule, how your week looks like, and we are analyzing where we can integrate the language learning processes, how we can do it through videos, through audio or texts, what is more suitable for you, for your personality, because every person is different and every person is learning differently. And yeah, so if you want to try this, you can also contact me, and I would be happy if you find this information important or useful. And if you want, you're very welcome to donate. You have also the contacts below it. I wouldn't say subscribe and follow, because you would follow and subscribe anyway if this video is good. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.